Welcome to the deep dive. If you're getting ready for the PTE academic, well, you know that reading module is a big one.
It really is.
We want this to be your complete roadmap, basically, guiding you through all the different bits so you can face it feeling, confident.
Absolutely. And the PTE reading isn't just about understanding text passively. It really checks how you actively work with academic English.
Right.
And one really unique thing is how it sometimes mixes reading and writing skills together in one go.
Yeah, that's interesting. So over the next, 29, 30 minutes or so?
Roughly, yeah. We'll look at the maybe 15 to 20 questions you'll likely face, spread across 5 different task types.
Okay. So our mission today is pretty clear. Break down each question type, make the scoring system make sense, and give you solid strategies for prep, for time management.
Exactly. We want you walking into that exam feeling ready, not overwhelmed.
Okay, let's dive in then. First up, reading and writing. Fill in the blanks.
Right. This first one is interesting because it hits both reading comprehension and your writing skills.
How does it look?
You get a passage of text, but some words are missing. And for each gap, there's a little drop-down menu with word choices.
Okay, drop-down menus
Hmm.
and scoring.
Good news here, it's partial credit. You get points for every single word you choose correctly.
Oh, nice. So even if you don't nail every blank, you still score points. That helps.
Definitely takes some pressure off.
So what should we really be zeroing in on for this task? What are the keys?
2 main things, grammar and collocations.
Collocations, you mean words that just sound right together?
Precisely, like conduct research or heavy rain, natural English pairings. And grammar, well, that means sentence structure, subject-verb agreement, prepositions, tenses. That stuff really helps narrow down the options.
Okay.
Plus, you absolutely need to get the context. Read the sentence, read around it. What kind of word is missing? A noun, a verb, an adjective.
Right, the surrounding words give you clues. And those drop-down options, best way to tackle them.
Process of elimination is your friend here. If a word clearly doesn't fit grammatically or just clashes with the meaning, cross it off your mental list.
Makes sense.
And here's a tip. Don't rush the final step. Once you pick a word, actually drop it in, reread the sentence. Does it sound right? Does it flow?
Ah, good point. Easy to just click and move on.
Exactly. And since this task feeds into both your reading and writing scores, getting it right pays off double.
Double points. Definitely worth that extra second to check. How long should we budget per question here, roughed
Good
up?
question. Aim for around 2 to 3 minutes for each of these reading and writing fill-in-the-blanks questions.
2 to 3 minutes. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on. Task type 2. Multiple choice, multiple answers.
Right.
This one sounds potentially tricky. More than one right answer possible.
That's the one. This task is purely testing your reading comprehension skills. You'll see a passage, a question about it, and then several options. And yes, more than one option might be correct according to the text.
Okay, purely reading. But the scoring, I think I heard something about negative marking. Is that right?
Yes, that's the crucial bit here. Negative marking. You get +1 for each correct answer you pick,
Okay.
but you get -1 for each incorrect answer you choose.
Ouch.
The minimum score for the question is 0, though. You can't go into negative points on one item.
Still, clicking everything is definitely not the strategy then.
Absolutely not. Bad idea. The smart approach. Read the question first, then read all the answer options before you even tackle the passage.
Okay, prime yourself on what to look for.
Exactly. Then you skim the passage, get the main gist, and scan for the specific details relating to the question and those options you just read.
And then,
Then you evaluate each option really carefully against the passage. Does the text support it? Eliminate choices that are irrelevant, that contradict the passage, or maybe make extreme claims the text doesn't back up.
so precision is key. Got to be backed up by the text.
Totally. And because of that negative marking, caution is generally advised. Only pick answers you feel pretty confident about. Some people even say, look, if you're unsure about a second or third option, maybe just stick with the one you know is right. Better safe than sorry, potentially.
That's interesting advice. Avoid the penalty.
It's a strategy to consider. And remember, this task only affects the writing score. And, well, it's considered less critical for your overall score compared to some others.
Good to know where it fits in the grand scheme. Time allocation for these.
Aim for about 1 to 2 minutes per question here.
1 to 2 minutes.
Hmm.
Okay. Next up, something quite different. Reorder paragraphs. Sounds like a jigsaw puzzle.
It really is like a puzzle.
Mm.
And it tests your grasp of coherence and cohesion, how ideas link together logically in writing.
Right.
You'll see several text boxes on the screen, maybe sentences or short paragraphs all jumbled up. Your job is to drag them into the correct logical sequence.
Putting the story back together, how do they score this? Is it all or nothing?
No, thankfully not. It's based on correct adjacent pairs.
I'm a pair.
Yeah. So if the right order is, say, ACBD, and you put the boxes in that exact order, you get points for the AC pair, the CB pair, and the BD pair.
Ah, okay.
But if you put maybe ACDB, you'd still get points for the correct AC pair you identified, even though the rest is wrong.
So partial credit for correct links? That's encouraging. Makes it less intimidating.
Definitely. You can still pick up points even if the whole thing isn't perfect.
Okay, so strategies. How do we approach this puzzle? Where do we start?
The absolute first step is to try and find the topic sentence.
The main idea.
The beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's usually an independent sentence, introduces the main theme, and probably won't start with words like however or therefore, or pronouns like it or they, unless the thing they refer to is clearly within that same sentence. It should stand on its own.
Okay, look for the sentence that feels like the natural start. What next?
Then hunt for clues. Look for logical connectors, words like however for contrast, first, next, finally for sequence, therefore for results, additionally for adding information.
Linking words, got it. Pay attention to articles too. A or N often introduce something new, while the usually refers back to something already mentioned.
Subtle clues.
Very. And reference words this, that, these, those, they, it. Ask yourself, what noun does this pronoun refer back to? That helps link sentences. And look for time signals initially. Then, after that, eventually, they establish chronology.
It really is like being a detective, piecing together evidence from the language itself.
It is. And a few other rules can sometimes help, like the rule of full form, if you see an acronym like WHO, and the full name, World Health Organization, the full name probably came first.
Makes sense.
The rule of timeline events usually unfold chronologically. Watch for contrasting connectors, like but, or on the other hand, they link opposing ideas. And sometimes the object of one sentence becomes the subject of the next, the subject and object rule.
Wow, lots of little things to look for.
They all help build the picture. And remember, focus on finding those correct pairs. Even getting a few links right earns you points. Like in that ACBD example, nailing just AC gets you score.
That's a really helpful breakdown. What's the time budget for reorder paragraphs?
Aim for about 2 to 3 minutes per question on this one as well.
2 to 3 minutes again. Okay, moving on to task 4. Fill in the blanks. But this time it's drag and drop.
Yes, similar name, slightly different mechanics.
How does it differ from the first fill in the blanks we talked about? Skills tested.
It's still testing reading skills, mainly context, vocabulary, grammar, collocations, prepositions are all key. But instead of a drop-down for each blank, you have a passage with gaps and then a separate box, like a word bank below it.
A word bank, okay.
And you physically drag the words from that bank and drop them into the correct blanks in the passage.
Gotcha. Dragging, not selecting from a list.
Yeah.
And scoring.
Yeah.
Still partial credit.
Yes, exactly the same scoring principle. Partial credit, you get points for each word you correctly place in a blank.
Okay, so strategies must be similar too, focusing on context and grammar.
Very similar, yes. Collocations are still huge, both academic ones and grammatical ones, like specific verbs needing specific prepositions. Prepositions themselves are often tested. Grammar basics, parts of speech, tenses, subject-verb agreement are vital.
So read the sentence, read around it.
Definitely. Understand the context fully. Then, look carefully at your word bank. Try mentally plugging the words in. Does it fit? Does it make sense? Use elimination for words that obviously don't work grammatically or contextually.
Right.
And it's worth noting, this particular task type, the drag and drop fill in the blanks, carries quite a bit of weight for your grading score.
Oh, really? How much?
It can contribute somewhere around 15 to 20 points, depending on the specific test. So it's a high-impact task.
Wow. Okay, so definitely one to focus on and practice well. Recommended time.
Aim for about 2 minutes per question for these drag and drop ones.
2 minutes. Okay. And that brings us to the final task type, number 5. Multiple choice, single answer.
Yes, the classic multiple choice.
Feels a bit more straightforward after the multiple answers and reordering. What's the main skill here?
It's testing your general reading comprehension. Can you grasp the main idea? Can you find specific details? And crucially, can you recognize paraphrasing?
Paraphrasing, saying the same thing using different words.
Exactly. So you'll read a passage, get a question and then have several options, but this time only one is the correct answer.
And the scoring is simple, I hope?
Nice and simple. Correct or incorrect. You get the point if you choose the right one. You don't if you choose the wrong one.
Yeah.
No partial credit, no negative marking.
Phew. Okay. Best way to tackle these.
Strategy-wise, again, read the question first. Always. Know what you're looking for.
Right.
Then, scan the passage to find the relevant part that addresses the question. Don't necessarily read the whole thing in detail yet.
Find the spot.
Find the spot, then read that section carefully, understand it fully. Then, go through the answer options one by one. Eliminate the distractors, the wrong answers, by comparing them closely to what the passage actually states.
Look for keywords.
Look for keywords and really watch for that paraphrasing. The correct answer often uses synonyms or rephrases the information from the text.
Okay. And how important is this one for the overall score?
Like the multiple answer one, this contributes only to the writing score and is generally considered less impactful on the total score than the fill in the blanks or reorder paragraphs tasks.
Good perspective. Suggested time.
Keep it quick, about 1 to 2 minutes per question for these.
1 to 2 minutes. Okay, so that's all 5 task types covered. Now, let's zoom out a bit and talk about scoring in general for the reading module.
Yeah, that's important because it's not entirely self-contained.
Right, you mentioned the reading and writing fill in the blanks affects both scores.
Yeah.
What else?
So, yes, that first task hits reading and writing. All the others, multiple choice, multiple answers, reorder paragraphs, drag and drop fill in the blanks, and multiple choice, single answer, they only contribute to the reading score. And the whole scoring process is automated, totally objective. Across the board, they're testing your grammar, your vocabulary range, your comprehension, and your understanding of sentence structure.
But you also hinted earlier that performance elsewhere in the PTE test can actually feed into this reading score.
Right.
That sounds counterintuitive, but important.
It's very important to grasp. It's called integrated scoring. Certain tasks in speaking, listening, and even writing contribute points towards your reading score.
Really? Which ones?
Okay, so in the speaking section, the read aloud task where you read a text out loud contributes significantly to reading. We're talking around 30 points.
Wow. 30 points from a speaking task to reading.
Exactly. Then in listening, the highlight incorrect words task adds maybe 7 or 8 points to reading, and highlight correct summary adds another 1 or 2 points.
Okay.
And finally, in the writing section, the summarize written text task contributes about 4 or 5 points to your reading score.
So doing well on those specific tasks in other modules directly lifts your reading score.
Precisely. It shows how interconnected the skills are and why you need a holistic approach to PTE prep.
That completely changes how you might think about preparing. It's not just about grinding reading passages.
Oh.
Okay, so with that understanding, let's talk preparation tips specifically for reading, keeping that integration in mind. What are the essentials?
Well, number 1 has to be vocabulary. Build it actively. Focus on academic words, the kind you see in university texts.
Right.
Learn collocations. That Pearson PTE collocation list is a great resource. Learn synonyms, vital for spotting, paraphrasing. And when you learn a new word, note its context. Don't just memorize a definition.
Context is key. What else?
Practice your reading techniques. Skimming for main ideas, scanning for specific details, speed and efficiency matter. And definitely take timed practice tests. Use reliable ones like the official PTE materials. This simulates the real pressure, helps your time management, and calms those test day nerves.
Timed practice is crucial. What about fundamentals?
Absolutely review grammar basics, sentence structure, prepositions, verb forms, articles, and think. Get comfortable with them.
Cool.
And practice using context clues. You won't always know every word, so being able to make educated guesses based on the surrounding text is a really valuable skill.
Good point. And resources. You mentioned the official app.
Yes, the PTE official practice app is great. There are books like Collins Vocabulary for PTE, tools like Grammarly can help with writing, which indirectly helps reading awareness, platforms like E2 Language, PTE tutorials, various practice websites, and just read. Read academic-style articles, BBC News, National Geographic, science journals, TED Talk transcripts. Immerse yourself.
Loads of options out there.
Okay.
Let's talk time management during the actual reading section. It's only about 30 minutes total, right? Feels tight.
It is tight, which is why discipline is key. We've given suggested times for each task type, like 2-3 minutes for fill in the blanks and reorder, 1-2 minutes for multiple choice. Try your best to stick to those.
Don't get bogged down.
Exactly. Don't spend 5 minutes wrestling with one tough question. And the biggest pressure point, there's no back button in PTE.
Ah, right. Once you move on, you're done with that question.
Correct. You cannot return. So managing your time effectively on each question as you go is absolutely critical. You don't want to run out of time at the end.
Makes sense. Any quick tip for speed?
For shorter passages, like in fill in the blanks, get used to skimming them very quickly first, just to grab the overall topic and context before you start trying to fill the gaps. It helps orient you.
So it's a constant balancing act. Accuracy, speed, and watching that clock.
That's the challenge of PTE writing. You need to develop that internal clock and stick to your pacing plan.
This has been incredibly comprehensive.
Yeah.
I feel like we've really unpacked the reading module. Just to quickly summarize the big takeaways for everyone listening.
Yeah, good idea.
We've covered the structure, the 5 task types, how they're scored, including that tricky negative marking and partial credit. We've gone through effective strategies for each one.
We've stressed the importance of vocabulary, collocations, grammar.
And those crucial time management skills, especially with no back button. Plus, the integrated scoring aspect, how other sections feed into reading.
Exactly. And hopefully, by using these tips, the resources we mentioned, and doing focus practice, you, the listener, can really build your confidence and boost that PTE reading score.
Definitely. So as we wrap up, here's a final thought for you to chew on as you continue your PTE journey. Knowing about integrated scoring, how might working on, say, your speaking fluency or your ability to summarize text actually give your reading score an unexpected lift?
And linked to that, what's one small change, maybe something you hadn't considered, that you could make to your study routine now that might have the biggest ripple effect on your overall PTE performance?
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the PTE reading module.